Hi there, it's Mark Wickham here, and I'm going to give you a really powerful video sharing with you my 7-step formula. So if you're not familiar with this, you'll definitely want to make some notes. So grab a pen and paper to hand. It's really important that when we are pricing our solutions, we have a structured system, because without that structured system, it all happens by chance, by luck. And what we want to make sure is that we control the process and make sure we do things like our pricing the same way every single time. So we build in best practice. So let me quickly take you through these 7 steps. I say quickly because this is usually for me an entire one-day workshop. I'm going to condense it into the 7 steps. So here they are very quickly. Step number 1. The first thing you have to do is decide what is your price discrimination strategy. And basically all that means is price discrimination is the economists' fancy words for charging different customers different prices. That's all it is. And this is foundational to the whole value pricing, because one of the things we know is that, and one of the difficulties with value pricing is that every single person values things differently. So given that everybody values things differently, we cannot have a single price. We have to find a way of pricing each person separately. And that's exactly what step 1 is all about. Many different ways we can do this. The one that I think is the most powerful and the most easy to understand in the accounting profession is what I call menu pricing, giving people a choice of different packages or different options. Step 2 in the formula. Once you've decided what your number of options you're going to present to the client is, before you then present to the client, step 2, you need to then think about what can you do to give a better solution? How can you add more value? So always stop and think about what more can you do. So if the client says to you, I want you to do a cash flow forecast, then think about what could you possibly do to help them get a better result? Well, to do that, you first have to understand, well, why do they want a cash flow forecast? The more you can add value, then the more you differentiate your service from your competitors, the more you give the clients a better solution, which is absolutely the right thing that we should do as professionals, and of course, the more that we do for the client, the more we can charge a higher price. Now, number 3 in the formula is we have to make sure that we properly communicate, properly educate the client about that value. And that means we cannot take for granted that they understand what we do. So we have to use techniques like turning features into benefits. We have to do things like quantify the benefit wherever possible. So step 3 is all about making the benefit seem as big as it possibly can be, as much value as possible. Now in step 4 in the process, we then have to manage expectations about how you get paid, because the payment terms are an integral part of the whole pricing equation. So make sure you explain that properly to the client. And when we're clever about this, we can use payment terms in very imaginative ways to help us get better prices. Now at this stage in steps 1 through to 4, we've built up the value. The client now probably wants to buy from you. So step 5 is where we then think, okay, how do we come up with the price? How do we calculate that price? And the key thing here is in step 5, we have to come up with a number, a price, that's based on the value to the customer. And that means that we never, ever, ever, ever come up with a price based on how long the job takes. Because there is no correlation whatsoever, no link between how many hours a job takes and the price. Clients are not buying an hour of time from you. So in step 5, we have to try and figure out what's the value to the customer, how can we put some sort of estimation, some sort of quantification to link to price. And there are many ways that we can do that. Then in step 6, which is my personal favourite, is having come up with a price, before we reveal that to the client, how can we make use of price psychology? how can we make that number seem much, much smaller than it really is? Now, seem is the right word here. Not make it smaller, because we don't. We want to make our prices bigger. But how can we use techniques, psychology, to make it appear much smaller? And then finally, in step 7, before you then reveal that price, have a think about the power strategies. And I'll give you one for now. One of the power strategies is the power of testing. And what that means is that you must always continually test prices. There is no such thing as the right price. The right price doesn't exist because value is subjective. But there's always a better price. And to find that better price is we have to keep continually testing. And when you have a system, a structure like the 7-step formula, once you use things like the menu pricing in step 1, we create some frameworks, some benchmarks that we can then test against. If you don't have a system, if all of your prices just are plucked out of thin air, plucked out of your head, then you've got nothing to test against. So always remember to continually test your prices. So that's the 7-step formula in overview. Make sure you consider those 7 steps every single time before you ever reveal a price to a client. I hope you enjoy it. Let me know by clicking the like button. If you want to find out more about those 7 steps, make sure you've got a copy of my free video training program, a systems approach to value pricing. There's a link somewhere below this video. You can grab your copy. Thank you for watching. I'll see you again very soon.